In today's video, we're going to be talking about some massive stories across WWE, AEW, NJPW, all in today's video. I'm going to bring you guys my analysis, but first, if you guys want, check out the timestamps in the description down below. Hopefully that makes your viewing experience a little bit easier. We're going to talk about AEW Rampage. It just suffered the lowest ratings of all time, and of course, when this happens, everybody has a crazy reaction. It's so unfortunate because everybody just wants to see these television shows canceled and removed and everything like that, but again, the numbers may not be as high as Tony Khan or everybody else wants them. But at the same time, too, I think Warner Media is very well aware of the time slot and everything that is happening here. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, AEW Rampage drew around 375,000 viewers with a 0.12 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. This is down from the week before, which was 406,000 viewers. And again, this show is just not performing very well in terms of ratings. Now, you guys know I don't like ratings talk. I don't think ratings talk is fair. I don't think ratings actually genuinely show a real percentage of interest in live viewers. I think the technology is outdated. I think it is such a silly conversation to be had. However, the reason why I'm talking about this is because one or two things have to happen here. AEW Rampage, clearly at this stage of the game, will either stay at 10 p.m. and continue to suffer in terms of ratings, or AEW Rampage will get canceled because of the ratings, or AEW Rampage will be moved to a different time slot at a different time. I think that one of those three things will happen based on who you're talking to. Otherwise, I don't see an issue with Rampage. I think they are very well aware of the time slots and everything that is happening here. And I think deep down inside, WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, all these companies can continue to provide really good television. But ultimately, the way that we consume television is so differently these days, it is not fair to compare it to 20 years ago. Nonetheless, Rampage has actually been a really good show. So for that reason, I don't think anybody's panicking. But again, I'm sure somebody who doesn't work in a television network will comment on this video and tell me why ratings matter. So shout out to you. Tony Khan must love you. Mercedes Varnado in New Japan has been a very big topic lately, for the reason being that there is some information that came out that, one, she's not being paid as much as Jericho to be in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and two, she is not main eventing Battle of the Valley later this month. And of course, a lot of people are wondering if this is New Japan's way of saying that they don't value Mercedes Mone. And I think that is absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to tell you guys why. For one, Tanahashi and Okada will headline the show. So that, for one, obviously would make a lot of sense. Two, New Japan Pro Wrestling and Sasha Banks, their agreement could be very well different from what Chris Jericho and New Japan signed several years ago. Number three, something that a lot of people need to keep in mind and be very considerate of is that Mercedes Varnado has an opportunity to do multiple other events and signings and additional things that she wants. So keep in mind that there is a lot of freedom that comes with her deal to New Japan Pro Wrestling. There's already teases of Mercedes Mone versus Mickie James in Impact Wrestling, which, by the way, I think would be massive, considering that Impact Wrestling probably doesn't have the same amount of budget that New Japan, WWE, and AEW have. But the good news is, because of New Japan and Impact Wrestling's relationship, that could very well be a possibility, and there's a reason why it's being teased. But also, it's just really good for people to understand that Mercedes Mone could have easily re-signed with WWE, could have easily signed with AEW. If New Japan didn't value her, she would have not signed with New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I think that is all I really need to say about that. Also, one thing that could be really cool, though, is Mercedes going to Impact, going to AEW, working New Japan Pro Wrestling. We still don't know exactly where she stands with AEW, but you got to keep in mind, with New Japan and AEW having a working relationship, there is benefits to that as well. Something to definitely keep your eye out for. I don't think Mercedes made a wrong decision by going to New Japan. I want to talk to you guys about Comcast and WWE. I'm seeing a lot of concern, a lot of things that are being brought up here, because Comcast has announced that going forward for Xfinity, I believe starting in June, customers are going to lose Peacock as part of their cable subscription, which, just like many other companies, T-Mobile does it with Apple TV Plus, Netflix, every other streaming service that you can imagine, Paramount Plus. AT&T was doing HBO Max for a while. Verizon was doing ESPN and Hulu. All of these cable companies and cell phone companies provide streaming services at a discounted rate or completely free, which was the case with Peacock and Xfinity. Now, going forward, that will actually be removed, and a lot of people are wondering, how does this impact WWE? And of course, without looking directly at the WWE agreement with Comcast, I think it's safe to say that WWE probably won't be impacted here because NBC, Comcast, is the one who paid for the Peacock rights to have WWE Network. So that right there is a big, if anything, it's going to impact Comcast, NBC, Peacock. It's not going to impact WWE. Unless for some reason there were a lot of people who got the free Peacock version from their Comcast bundle who also just so happened to watch WWE. In that case, maybe WWE PLEs might see a very, very small difference in viewership. But even that too, I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't really think anybody here is going to be impacted by it. It's very strange how things like this get brought up in conversation because a lot of people think, these could kill a company or hurt a company or whatever it may be. But I don't think there is any scenario in which WWE, Comcast, or NBC, whatever, I don't think any of them will be impacted by this. And nonetheless, I think it's very important to keep paying attention to what's going to happen because obviously WWE is publicly, potentially going to be sold in the next 3 months. All right, guys, last topic I want to talk about is CM Punk. There's obviously been a lot of talk about CM Punk, and now he's not making it easier because he's going on social media, and he continues to tease his return to AEW, which I'm just going to pretty much come out here and say, my personal professional opinion based on everything that CM Punk is doing, based on everything that has happened. I feel like we've talked about this so many times, but I'm just going to come out there and say that more than likely in this situation, CM Punk coming back to AEW is a sure thing. And, it just kind of shows you that a lot of those people we've been listening to for the last 8 months or 6 months, 5 months, whatever it was, all of these dirt sheet writers, reporters that came out and said CM Punk was getting bought out from his contract. CM Punk was not getting bought out. CM Punk was getting bought out. CM Punk was going to go to WWE. It is very, very concerning to see the level of mixed reports for CM Punk here. This whole story with CM Punk and the Elite and the fight and everything, none of it makes sense at all. I'm just going to come out and say that whatever happens here at this point, I just don't care. WWE, AEW, obviously we know CM Punk is a draw. We know CM Punk going to AEW, staying in AEW, having the feud with FTR versus the Elite could make a lot of sense. So at this stage, I really don't give a shit what happens, but I just feel like there's something really strange happening with all those reporters coming out, telling us everything about CM Punk, and none of it has happened thus far. And so therefore, I'll just leave it at that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and I'll see you next time.